Should you lower your standards? And do you qualify for the men you desire? Liz and I will be unpacking it all this evening. Episode 7. See you shortly. What's going on, Liz?
How you doing? It's good to be here.
It's good to see you here.
Thanks. I'm Liz Stewart. I'm a writer and an artist. I'm super stoked for our topic tonight. I've been doing a lot of work in this area, so it's good timing.
Great timing, huh?
For sure.
Yeah, so I don't know if you watched previous episodes, but uh, this is our 7th episode. Appreciate everybody who pulled up. Not many people. This is a new channel, so.
Lucky number 7.
Yeah, so you're number 7. We're going to be growing the audience, and this will be the evergreen content.
Gotta love a classic. Gotta love being classic,
Exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. That's what we do here. We jump right into it.
I'm about that. Let's go.
All right, so men are saying women lack the ability to choose the right man. Is this true?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I have a good counterpoint on this, though.
Go ahead.
I have a really good counterpoint on this. And I did a lot of thinking on this. This is work I've been doing. I'm going on like my 6 month of abstinence. I've done a lot of like spiritual work in this area because I was a bad woman. And that's why women sometimes don't deserve the men that they want because they can't be the kind of woman that man deserves. It starts internally. It's a lot of internal work you have to do. If you want a man to behave, I had a boyfriend tell me this one time, and this is hard to admit, but I had a boyfriend tell me, he said, you have these high expectations of everyone around you and you're just sitting on the sofa drunk. And that hit me hard because he was right. And, women like to impose, I know for myself, and I'm a woman, I'm not speaking for all women, but like for me, I think I deserve, the moon and the stars, but I'm not willing to behave like someone who does. If you do good, you get good. If you do bad, you get bad. It's all about what you put out there, So that's my stance on it.
So are you married now?
I'm not. I'm single. I wear a fake wedding ring so that people don't bother me.
Oh.
Yeah, when I say I'm doing the abstinence thing, like I'm doing it, I'm like warding them off. I'm like, I'm good. Just because I'm trying to become my ideal woman. Your ideal woman gets your ideal man. You see what I mean? Like if you're both displaying these ideal behaviors together, chances are it'll work out. But if those behaviors are in conflict and one person's being ideal and the other person isn't, there are going to be issues.
That's right. And I think it's all about communicating those expectations ahead, man. I'm big on that.
Displaying boundaries. Boundaries help with that. When you set a boundary, when you say, hey, this is cool, this isn't, and everybody deserves a chance, and no one knows until you communicate it. And that's the problem in today's relationships. People don't know how to communicate that stuff. I failed a lot of times in communicating those things. I remember I'd written this guy that I loved, and we were really doing a lot of intensive internal work together. And I wrote him a letter one day, and I said, what do you need in order to feel safe? And that was what I wanted for him, was to feel safe and loved. And that's what love's about. It's about feeling safe and nurtured and, achieving your ideal self with your ideal person. But people can't reach that until they fix themselves, yeah. But yeah, I'm like this. I can't, I know what my ideal man looks like. And when I picture the partner that man is with, it looked differently than the person that I was. So I've been putting in work and being that person that person deserves, that I can picture them with.
That's a bar. That's a bar.
I didn't know this was the topic. I'm so glad.
We can't get women to do, for some reason, it's hard.
Oh, God.
Well, a lot of women mouth that way. So that's a bar for me.
I'm gonna tell you something else. My dad checked me one day. My dad wasn't in my life. You talked about single parents and the questioning. My dad was not in my life when I was growing up, and I reconnected with him as an adult. And I did a lot of political activism, and I did a lot of around women's rights. And I would not take the trash out because I was programmed that that was a man's job. My dad should take the trash out. And I remember I was standing in his yard in a bathrobe one day, smoking a cigarette, surrounded by stray cats with sunglasses on, and he goes, if you're in the yard bitching about equal rights, you better get in there and you better take the trash out. And that hit me. I was like, I want men to do all these things, but I'm over here screaming equal rights. Equal rights means you take the trash out. You know what I mean? Equal rights means you grab a power tool and you repair stuff. Equal rights men can load the dishwasher. And that goes for behaviors too. That goes for behaviors too. Everything's transposable. So, if you want somebody that's doing all this great stuff, take the trash out, take the trash out. Get up and take your trash out. Listeners, it's time to take your trash out.
What do you feel? What do you hear when a man says, when you hear men say, fix me a sandwich? How do you feel about that?
My man doesn't have the man I desire doesn't have to ask me to make him a sandwich because I'm probably already on it. That's how in tune I want to be in my relationship. You see what I mean? It's about gratitude. And when people feel appreciated, they always do more than what's expected of them. So like if I'm seeing that my partner's hungry, I'm gonna make him a sandwich. I would want someone to do that for me. You see what I mean? I would want to be sitting on the couch and say, hey honey, could you grab me a pudding out of the fridge? And then be like, I would love to, honey, here. Those are the kind of conversations I want to be having in my home.
Some pudding.
Give me some pudding.
That's the first one I've heard. Grab me some pudding.
I was thinking about a snack pack.
Eating the kids' snack.
Yeah.
You just expose yourself.
Come over for snacks. Okay. Next question.
All right, let's go to the next question. All right, so the rate of single motherhood is rising in America. Why is this?
I did research. This is the one I researched because I wanted to see numbers. This is data-driven information. You said something's on the rise. I'm like, there's numbers to back this up. So there are. What I also looked up was single fatherhood. That's a conversation I feel like a lot of people aren't having. I Googled the numbers for single fatherhood. Since 1990, there were 1.3 million single fathers in the U.S. As of the year 2020, and I'm sure this number has gone up, as of the year 2020, there's 3.3 million. So both sides are on the rise, and that comes down to relationships.
So people are just not working it out, or people are having maybe oops babies. They having babies unintentionally.
That's got a lot of layers to it. That's got a lot of layers to it, most of which I'm not going to touch. But I think that we live in an age today where it's like the smash or pass age. People are smashing and passing out here.
Situationships.
It's as easy as clicking a button these days. You know what I mean? You get on Tinder, you hit heart, y'all meet up. People are doing it, and that comes down to us like not valuing relationships as a society. We're more connected than ever, but in a lot of ways we're more disconnected than ever. And children are human beings with feelings and emotions. They're little adults. And I think people bring them into situations that aren't even situations, you know what I mean? And also too, if you look at like societal problems that we're facing, drug addiction's at an all-time high, a lot of things are happening in society these days too. And we got single mothers and single fathers in this country, but it comes down to how we're relating to each other and what our values are.
Right.
It's values. It's a value thing. Our value system is broken, in my opinion.
But it seems like when the kids are in the household with a father in the household, they do better.
The same goes for children who have a mother in the household.
It's a father.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. I can speak from experience on this. I grew up without a father, right? And it's hard because that's a relationship, and then you always wonder what is that relationship like? And I'll never know. I'll never know what it's like to be a woman with a father, you know? And then we have men who are grown up and they don't know what it's like to have a mother.
Do you think that because you didn't have a father,
Mhm.
your relationship circumstances right now are like the way they are because you didn't pretty much because you didn't have a father in the household?
My relationship status is the way it is now by my choice. Whereas in the past, a lot of my behavior was subconscious. It wasn't my choice because I hadn't dealt with that. And that's something that I dealt with. And now because I'm doing this work, I'm understanding the value, my self value, my self worth, which I didn't have. Because when you're abandoned at a young age, you internalize it as someone threw me away. I'm garbage. These are things that I told myself for years. I'm trash. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve that. But then my ego would kick in and I'd be like, I deserve the world. You know, it was fear and ego. And I think a lot of people with relationships, they're trying to feed their ego, which is what I did with a lot of my partners. You know, I wanted a partner with, a relationship with a great partner, but I did it to feed my ego and try to fill a void. And I didn't like men for a really long time. I was angry at men because my first idea of a man was someone who left me, you know?
Oh,
That affected everything.
you think a lot of women feel like that? That doesn't have
They do, but I don't think they know that. I don't think they know that.
Mm.
They don't know that. Then you see a lot of women who come from places where they don't have fathers. They are single mothers. And and that child the child's caught in that. And that's a cycle. But until someone does that work and realizes that, you can't break that cycle.
Wow. So so what would you call daddy? I mean, is that similar to daddy issues?
1,000%. I'll claim it all day because it's true and I got through it. You know, I'm not ashamed of this stuff because I did the work. Of the people who are getting triggered and stuff by it, they're not doing the work because they're carrying that shame. They're carrying shame and they're carrying guilt. And shame prevents vulnerability. And one of the strongest qualities a person can have is to be vulnerable. That requires walking through a lot of fear. That requires a lot of self awareness. That requires honesty. Um, and a lot of women and a lot of men, they can't be vulnerable. And when you lack vulnerability in your relationships, you lack strength. I have to know that my partner is willing to open up to me and tell me anything, and we got this. Whatever it is you got, let me know we got this. And people aren't forming those bonds anymore. We're putting on this surface. It's called, surface acting, where we're not really acting the way that we feel. I studied that this week. I told you I was taking this class. But people don't act the way that they feel because they're concerned about the reaction they're going to get. But let me tell you, if you express the way that you feel and you're being authentic and you get a poor reaction, maybe you need to walk away.
Maybe you need to just walk away.
Walkaway.com. Walkaway.com.
You know what I would say for the men, I think the men have a different effect when what you call daddy issues. Because for me, it made me want to be a father even more. But I was more susceptible to being a knucklehead because I didn't have that discipline from a man. But it made
Boom.
me hate, you know, I don't want to say hate men, but I would say it strengthened my will and made me more compelled to want to be a father to the children I had. Because, you know, I was filling that void in a sense. I was getting that energy. I was giving my children, I'm giving that children now, I'm giving that energy to my children that I didn't necessarily have when I was younger. So I would say it would make men more stronger, but on the negative side, it would just make you more susceptible to, committing crime, lack of masculinity that you may need from your father, lack of discipline, and all other things. Like you said, it's layers. Yeah.
Can't
Shout
agree
out
with you
to
more.
everybody putting a one in the chat so far. And
What is
that's
it?
my wife right there. She's like,
Oh, hey, one.
so we're gonna keep it moving. The next question is: Do women understand why men prefer to date younger women?
I thought about this one because I was a younger woman who dated older men.
You was a younger woman and dated older men, right? So you know.
Right. I've been there, done that. Why do I think they dated me is what I ask myself when you ask this question, because there's the answer. I was young, I was naive. I looked great. I looked amazing. I didn't know a lot. I was just kind of down for whatever, like
And I think those are key things that you just said. You didn't know a lot.
I don't know a
You
lot.
you were impressionable. You were down for forever because you didn't know no better. And I think that type of mentality is easier to mold into a wife, especially if she didn't have a representation of a father expressing or showing her a representation of a marriage, with your mother or whatever. Because if men are dating women that don't come from a household with a father in it, chances are she haven't seen the representation on how relationship dynamics are supposed to work. So we have to go and show her that based off of what we learned. So that's another hill we got to climb. But when a woman ages and she become older and more mature and more experienced, it's harder to penetrate her. Not sexually, but
Both.
mentally, you know what I mean.
Ain't nobody penetrating me. I get it. I
That,
get it.
that could be true too. That could be true too.
There's no penetration happening in my house. That's so funny. Yeah, well, I get that. Like, yeah, I was impressionable. I was young, and like I had a boyfriend that like wanted to mold me into whatever, and I was like with it, but then I got resentful. I got resentful towards them because I felt like they owned me.
Well, in a sense, if you married, I mean that's sort of.
We weren't married. We weren't married by
Oh,
a
okay.
long shot. But it was like I always felt like I owed them something, and then like that made me feel resentful. Um and I don't know. I was just angry. I was angry. And I dated older guys because they did fill a certain void for me. Like they taught me things, they took me places. Just stuff that I never got exposed to. And um I felt loved. There were moments I felt greatly loved, and not having my father in my life. Imagine the way that people's fathers love them, what kind of love that is in their life, and I didn't have that love in my life. And I wanted that, but I didn't know what that looked like because I'd never had it.
Right.
I didn't know what that looked like.
That's understandable. Well, we're gonna keep it flowing.
All right.
So the next question is it better for men to date you now or when you were in your 20s?
Get back with me when I'm 40. I'm kidding. I was a lot of fun in my 20s. I wasn't like I was one of those girlfriends that's like your first like high school girlfriend, like boom, bow, wow, there's fireworks and she's fun, but it doesn't last and your heart's broken. I was like one of those girls. So I'd probably say now because I'm looking for more soulful connections. And like I said, I've done that work and I've let go of being angry at men and operating in that ego. So I'm trying to find somebody to, eat pudding with me one day, but I'm not out actively looking. I feel like people who are out actively looking find bad things. Because, like, if you go looking for trouble, you find it. You know what I mean? I'm looking for something that just kind of happens and works. And that's what I'm open to.
You're not one of those women who say that God's going to send you an angel or send you.
No, no, no. God, I worship God. And that's the only guy, on my roster as far as worship goes. I'm just open to the possibilities at this point. It's a bonus for me at this point. I don't feel like a relationship should be a goal. It's just a bonus. If it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, I'm okay with it because I'm happy where I'm at in my life. I built my life for me to be that ideal person, and I do that unconditionally.
And do you have children, right?
I do. I have a son, and my son lives with his father.
He lives with his father?
Yeah, so what you said, about like missing out on parental love and stuff, like, I was an absent parent for a few years, so I see both sides of it.
Wow. I've never
Yeah,
This is the first conversation I've had with a woman who was willing to allow their son to live with her father.
yeah, he's got a great father, and I respect that man. He works his
And
tail off for her son.
it's the reason why you let your son live with the father is because of the details you explained earlier, right?
It was a better option.
Is it,
My job as a parent is to afford my kid with every opportunity possible, and his father was able to afford him better opportunity.
I wonder why.
And I'm cool with that, and I'm doing what I need to do for me. And I see my son and I have a relationship with my son. And he knows that he's got a mom and she loves him. And he gets that love, and he knows.
And the father had to also be willing to take care of the kid too, right?
Yeah, he's got a great life. He's got a great life, and I couldn't ask for a better, I couldn't ask for things to be better for him.
I'm gonna
And
tell
he
you
and
right
he
here.
has a relationship with me today, and I'm cool with it.
But what I hear mostly is even if the father can give the kid a better life, they still these women still, for some reason I don't understand, would want to keep the kid with them. I don't know if it's motherly love or that bond, that attachment. But even if they're struggling and barely can make ends meet, and the father may be doing well, they still would rather the kid stay with them and struggle with them.
That's ego. That's that ego I was talking about. How we use people to feed our egos. How people will use people in relationships to feed their ego. That's ego. That is a blatant example of someone feeding their ego with another human being. Good example. Thanks, Darwin.
Yeah, it's just I just could never get around it. I know it's ego, so it's ego.
It's ego. And if you show me someone who's willing to make a selfless decision, I'll show you someone who's done a lot of work.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah. Crazy topic tonight, man. This is all stuff I like present day, like that I've been working on. So it was perfect.
Yeah, man, we rolling through these questions. This is easy conversation.
I like having intellectual conversations like this. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, so let's keep it moving.
Roll it.
Is there a point in a woman's life where she'd have to lower her standards due to some of her past decisions? Sorry
I
about that.
thought it, I thought about this one because I got a pass. I got a pass. I'm like I said, that shame and guilt. I don't live there anymore. That's my ego. That's fear. So I have a past, right? And I actually asked someone out on a date this week, and they never responded to me. And I know that it's probably because of my past, right? I'm not going to lower my standards because I'm doing that work, and I'm become like the person I am. What does their ideal person look like? What's the equal counterpart to that? And so I don't need to lower my standards because I'm growing, right? I upped my standards because of my past, because of the things that I went through, and I learned a lesson, right? So I was able to up my standards because I was able to learn that lesson. But what is going to happen is there are going to be people that I would wish to, you know, pursue something with that aren't going to be interested in me because of that. And that's okay because it's not my person.
So you're saying because of your past, there are going to be men that don't want to go to the next step with you?
There will be men who won't even give me the time of day because of my past. They'll
And
say no, they'll say she's cute and she's fun, but no way, And
and
I get that.
when you say your past, do you mean because you have a kid?
No, not because I have a kid. I was addicted to drugs. I was addicted to drugs for 5 years.
Oh,
Yeah, so I went down a really dark road. Like you want to talk about like low bottom stuff, like I was a junkie. And I'm not anymore, so I'm cool saying that, but like I was. And there are going to be people who don't engage with me because of that, and that's okay. But as far as like, standard pass stuff, you shouldn't have to lower your standards as long as you're operating at that level. Take the trash out. You know what I mean?
do you feel like you're not that person anymore, so you shouldn't have to bring it up?
I'm cool bringing it up. I'm cool talking about it. Um, It's kind of known. And like I let people know because I don't ever want anything from my past to show up and then be like, what's this all about? You know what I mean? Because that's possible. That's
Well,
possible.
I get what you're saying, but something like this, you made it through. You got over it,
Right.
cleaned up,
Right.
not who you are anymore.
Right. But I do a lot of service work with other people in recovery too.
Right.
So it's part of my life in a way that I'm trying to give back. So that's why it's probably known, and that's cool.
Yeah, but I don't. That's kind of weird. I mean,
Why?
it's kind of weird that someone would hold that against you whenever.
There's a stigma attached to like this drug I was
Well,
addicted to
I
and the
think
things I did.
I think they might be afraid that you may. What do they call? What is it called?
A relapse. Yeah, that's always possible too. I loved a heroin addict, and my biggest fear was that he would relapse, and he did. And I watched that happen. Addicts are hard people to love because you never know. You never know. You
Wow.
don't know, but those are risks you take for people you love. Like I took that risk with him because I loved him. That's the guy I was saying we did a lot of internal self work together, and I loved this guy, but we weren't using drugs together. We were sober, and I told him I said my biggest fear is that you're going to relapse, and I'm going to find you, and that's exactly what happened.
And you know what? Now I'm starting to understand. I'm trying to draw a parallel to a woman with a high body count or that was very sexually active most of her life. Maybe the reason why these guys don't want to take it to the next step with them is because they may relapse.
Sex is an addiction just like anything else. People are drugs, you know. There are people I watch people, especially recovering addicts, a lot of recovering addicts, are sex addicts too. They just don't know it.
Yeah,
And like
I was like a lot of these druggies be just banging it out with just anybody, right?
and they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. Like I'm out on the streets handing out condoms. I'm like, "Please, for the love of God, like there's a syphilis outbreak in our county. You guys use condoms." Like but it is what it is, but like people are just that's why we have all these children running around and all these low values. And I think I mentioned drug addiction earlier because man, it's an epidemic. I mean, somebody who's addicted to drugs right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, me too, a lot of them. And people go through it. I mean, I made it out, but a lot of people don't. They don't ever break that cycle of bad behavior, and it's a behavior thing. You see what I mean? There's a lot that goes with it, but like the hooking up, it's all your behaviors, like if you take a criminal who's on drugs and you remove the drugs, they're still a criminal, unless they change their conduct all the way around.
So is it safe to say that because you got this past,
Yeah.
type of man you want, you got to take a hit on that because you got this past with you, so you got to kind of lower your standards.
No, I'm not lowering my standards. I'm not going to lower my standards because I don't want to behave like someone who's below my standards. And if I surround myself with people who are below the bar that I want to set for myself, that's how I'm going to behave. Steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron. You see what I mean? And so like I'm behaving in a way, I don't want anybody to interrupt that. I don't want anybody messing with that. Unless we're going up, we're not going anywhere.
So let me get this right. You still believe personally, internally, that you qualify for the same men that you qualified when you weren't a drug addict or
A thousand, 1,000%, 1,000%, 1,000%.
Now I'm gonna tell you that the guys are probably going. The guys
That's cool. The same man, no, but the man that's right for me, yeah. And the way that I'm choosing to behave and conduct my life today, those are the kind of people who will be attracted to me because broke, skanky guys don't want to be around me because we don't have anything in common anymore. What are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? I'm over here studying organizational behavior and writing 45-page essays. Don't come at me with, can I borrow $5? Or, Can you take me here or there? Go to work. I'm working my tail off. Nobody's paying my bills but me. Nobody's putting myself through school but me. Like, do not, I don't have to lower my standards because I'm doing the work. When you work and function at a certain level, you're on a different frequency than people who are working at a operating and functioning at a lower level than you. And I was a high functioning drug addict. So when I did drugs, I did them well. But I have to transpose that into my everyday life and do life well. And I'm not coming into contact with people who aren't doing it well because I'm not putting myself in those places. So no, I don't have to lower my standards because I changed my neighborhood. You know what I mean? I changed my neighborhood.
I gotta ask though. I have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Does how much of an effect does? Okay, so you did state earlier that reason why you gave your son's father custody or whatever
Mm-hmm.
is because it was a better life.
Right.
How much does the drugs have to do with that decision?
I got hooked on drugs after my son left.
Oh, so this was after he had. Oh, so okay, because
Yep.
I was trying to.
I was 28. I got hooked on drugs at 28.
Okay.
So my son went to live with his father and I got on drugs because I was feeling a void. I lost my identity as a mother and I spiraled, and I got on drugs. And that's unfortunate because I missed 5 years of my son's life. But I snapped out of it, because you hit a point where it's like, okay, you're going to die alone in a basement or you're going to live. And then I took the drugs away and I didn't like the way that I still was. So I decided to live differently. I put down drugs. I gave up alcohol. I gave up cigarettes. I'm abstaining. I'm 1,000% focused on living my best life. And just like I said, you know, having a partner for me is a bonus. If I happen to meet someone and we decide we want to do this together, cool. If not, Darwin, like I'm at a point in my life where it's not about that for me. That's just a bonus. So, like when you say standards, I just say somebody who meets me wherever I'm at. And where I'm at 6 months from now may be a whole different place from where I'm at today, depending on how I function.
So you've built yourself up so strong to where any man that come into your life now is a bonus.
It's a bonus. And my relationships, I have relationships with men who are my friends because I'm not pursuing relationships. I go out to lunch with friends who are men. And I did a relationship inventory with a mentor of mine. It's where you inventory your relationships and you look at the part that you play in all of them. And you're able to identify patterns, right? So I did a relationship inventory and I inventoried my relationships. And while I'm reading all this off to her, she looks at me and she says, Elizabeth, what are men for? And I sat there because I did not like what was about to come out of my mouth. And a couple of things went through my head and I didn't like any of them. And I respected this woman and I didn't want to say what I was about to say. And I realized in that moment I had to change my mind about men. And what my father had said to me about take the trash out came to mind. And I was like, if you want equal rights, take the trash out. If I'm expecting all these people around me to be a certain way and be ideal, if I'm not ideal, what am I doing in their circle? I need to step out of their circle and get in when I fit in. You know what I mean? You can't be a square peg in a round hole.
So would I be wrong if I said, hey fellas, the longer a woman stays independent, the harder it is to mold her into a suitable wife?
If you have to mold someone, if you're meeting someone as a DIY project, you messed up already. Because you know what I mean? I'm not supposed to mold you. You're not supposed to mold me. We're supposed to be two whole molds coming together to form a beautiful statue.
Well, let me add context to it.
Okay, go for it.
So first of all, are you more like a traditional woman or like a 50-50 woman?
Okay, I've been exploring this too, because I am traditional in a lot of ways. But like I said, I view men as equal partners. I don't think men and women are equal in a traditional sense. If you look at that umbrella, I think men are the king of the castle in a traditional sense. And kings always have queens. I get that.
So hold on.
But you have to define traditional because people come from different backgrounds. So traditional for you and traditional for me may be two different things.
True. But Fish and Fit asked, shout out to Fish and Fit, asked a really good question. If she meets a man with a plan in life, is she willing to support him and be under his plan?
Yes. If my man has, if I have that man and he's got a plan, we'll make it happen.
So you can't look at him as a bonus then, right?
Absolutely, I can because I come with a plan too, and my plan's a bonus.
But what if this man said, "Hey, look, I understand you got a plan. I run my household and I run my relationships a certain way. I just want you to fit into the system that I've already configured. I've got everything set. I'm gonna take care of you. You ain't gotta work no more. I just want you to do X, Y, and Z."
Okay. I would be cool with that depending on the context, but what I would ask would be like, well, can I run a business from the basement? That's the kind of person I am. I'd be like, I'd be cool with that, but like, can I do this? You know what I mean? Can I do my business? Like, can I write? Can I put the book out? Can I paint? Can I do the art?
I don't think
Like,
any of that. I don't think any of that would be an issue at all. If it's
I'd be down with that.
the table, it's a bonus for him. Like Fish and Fish said, it's a bonus for him. And I would even say, since you have those skills, a writer, an artist, it's so many things that the man could do with those things.
If a man with a plan's cool for me because I'm a dream maker, right? Like people say I want to do this, and I'm the person that's like, well, here's how you can make that happen. Like that's my thing. This woman wanted to start something in town, and like the next weekend, I was like, it's happening Saturday. I like that, and that inspires me. Like I've always been into like entrepreneurs, musicians. Those are always like my kind of type of people, and people who are dreamers and doers, and because that's who I am. But if he's already got something in place and like he's doing it well and doing it great, and I fit into that system, and he fits into my what I got going on, I would not be opposed to that. I don't think anyone in their right mind would. Like if that's the person and our system works, do it. Let's do it. If it's right, it's right. And only like when you know what I mean?
That's true. Well, there's a lot of women out there
but if I'm having to change
in their right mind.
Right. But if I'm having to like play you and lie to you and hustle you in order for me to fit into your system, then I have no business being a part of it. Because that's unethical behavior. And unethical behavior is always counterproductive. 9 times it's always counterproductive. And your house will fall down. You got to have a good foundation.
Okay. So we leaned on this topic a little hard. Let's go to we got about 3 to 4 more. We're on our way. Good questions, chat. Appreciate that. Throw the questions up. We'll add them to the screen. So men are becoming less compelled to marry. What might be the cause?
Women don't want to get married either.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because men are the ones who choose who gets married. And if men are not choosing anymore, women don't get married unless they marry each other.
I mean, are women not allowed to say no when a man proposes to them?
Huh?
Are women allowed to say no when a man proposes to them?
Yeah, they are.
Then women are part of that choice too.
They're part of on the response side. But as far as initiating, men are the ones that are taking a woman to be a wife.
What do you think about women who propose to men? What's the feel on that? Because if we're equals, like what's everybody's stance on that? That's a conversation that's not being had, I feel like.
I think if a woman really wants to be with this man and wants to marry him, and she knows that, hey, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to love you and fit in your system and be compatible with you, I don't see nothing wrong with it. Go ahead and get on the knee and ask this man to be your husband.
People are people. They're allowed to do whatever they want,
Listen, I'm not gonna knock a woman for proposing in this day and age when we have people who can completely switch their genders. You get what I'm saying?
I'm just going to say this about that. If you cut your penis off, you're serious. You're serious. If somebody cuts their penis off, they're serious. Leave them alone. They are serious. Nobody's just going to go cut their penis off. That's my stance on that. That's the only one I have. I'm like, paint yourself yellow. I'm just trying to be a person.
I'm
Like,
professional, y'all.
what? It's true.
You said that. I didn't say it. I think, yeah, I think all of them are serious. Nothing against nobody who wants to go and cut it off, but yeah. But I'm just saying, like, to go back to what I was saying earlier. If you decided you propose, do it. Listen. I feel like women. I feel like it's gonna come a day and age where women are gonna. I mean, women wanted to be equal, anyways.
I'm going to tell you something though. And my ideal man proposes to me. So I'm going to talk about my ideal man and what that looks like. My ideal man does propose to me. Just putting that out there.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna say this straight up.
Yeah.
If you're a woman who's getting close to 40, got a lot of,
I'm not.
your options are getting slim, and you want to get married, do whatever it takes. Get your body right, get your mind right.
Be somebody.
Like you said, figure out, try to picture the girl he wants and try to mimic that. Try to match it.
It'll only make you better. It'll only make you better because if like you're shooting for the moon, you'll miss and land on a star. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Men should motivate. Women and men should motivate each other. I should motivate my man. My man should motivate me. I mean, if you're not motivating me, you're probably draining me.
But I will say this. From what I see, men are becoming less compelled to be married. I mean, women are just busting it open. I mean,
True.
It's easy.
True.
I'm married. I've been married for almost a decade. I can get off this stream, go downtown Atlanta, and back in the days, it used to be going to the I don't want to say the word, but I think you can say prostitute. Go see a prostitute. Now,
Oh,
you don't even have to. You just go to a bar.
just click a button on your phone. Are you kidding me? You don't have to leave the house. You're doing all this extra work. Just click a button. Yeah. What are you talking about? Leave the house.
Yeah, you're right. Listen, that goes to show you I've been checked out for a while.
It's easy.
It's easy.
It's
Just
easy.
right,
It's
we
easy.
good.
Well, yeah, because like, if it's not her, it's gonna be another one. They always say there's plenty of fish in the sea, but at that time they didn't live in a world where you can see the entire sea. Like we can see the whole sea right here. We're like, all right, I'll take this fish, this fish, this fish.
Women, and I think women just got it tremendously easy. I mean, they got fish just jumping in the bucket.
And they'll send you money. Listen to this. So this guy the other day, I had blocked this guy for like over a year, right? I haven't had contact. I went no contact with this person for about a year now. And I had them blocked on everything and I changed my phone number. And the only way they could get in touch with me was Cash App. And they sent me $25 with like a heart on Cash App. And so I didn't know what to do because I didn't know that you could block people on Cash App. And when I realized that, I sent them the money back and blocked them.
Wow.
I was like, I'm not going to do this.
Most women I know would have not sent that money back.
It's just like clicking stuff and
They
boom.
would have went to the beauty supply store and got some spritz and some lashes.
No, I'm that serious. I'm like, don't even Cash App me at this point.
Fish in the Fit got another question.
Okay.
If you see your ideal man, he checks all your boxes, I'm sure more women are in competition for that man. Will you take that chance to propose to him with the mindset that is in your man, that he is your man?
If I have to fight over someone, then he's not for me. First of all, talking about competition. If I have that.
Why wouldn't you fight over something that's high demand?
Okay, it's like this. Say you go shopping for a purse, right? and you see this purse, and there are many, many duplicates of this purse, right? And everybody has it. Everybody wants it. Everybody's lusting after this purse. But then you go see one that's like custom made and it's special and nobody else has it. And you get it and you feel a lot better about that purse because it's personal to you. You know, it's not something that's in demand that everybody wants, this, that, and the other. What I want is going to be totally different from what someone else wants. You know, not everybody wants the same things. And, you know, my ideal man, I've tailored for me because I'm tailoring myself for that person. Not for that person, but for my life. You know what I mean? I'm tailored myself to live my life. And my person is a custom handbag that fits perfectly into that life.
Well,
And it's not for everyone.
he did say was your ideal man. Your ideal man, and all other women are jumping at him. What are you gonna do?
Continue to live my life. I'm just gonna keep doing whatever I'm doing because I'm happy. I'm happy. I mean, if he fits into my system, cool, and if not, cool. You know, if he's got a million women jumping at him and he would rather look at them than look at me, then he's not my ideal man. Mic drop.
I get it for you, fish and fit. All right, so we're gonna go to the next question.
Okay.
When a man says you don't qualify for me, what does that mean to you?
You don't qualify for me. Well, you can qualify for a lot of different stuff. So like I said earlier, I asked someone out on a date this week and they'd never replied to me.
And you think it's because of your past?
I don't really know. I can't say because I'm speculating, and you know what they say about assumptions. They make, you know.
You asked this man out on a date.
Yeah, I said, "Hey, can I take you out on a date?"
And he never replied.
And I got nothing. Crickets for 2 days. It's been 2 days. So, and I see them in passing a lot, so I'm considering moving to another planet. But like, you know, I guess I'll just cook dinner by myself later, you know?
So I would advise you not to allow rejection to stop you.
No, it can't, because if we allow rejection to stop us, we're going nowhere. Everybody gets rejected at one point or another. Was it Thomas Edison said, "I have not failed. I've simply found 1,000 ways that don't work."
So what are your limitations? Like, are you open to interracial dating?
I am.
How would your mom and dad feel about that?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
There are many races on the planet, and I'm not opposed to them.
You got that twang in your voice too.
I know. Well, you know where I'm from.
I don't know. They got that meat in the barn.
Oh God. No, I have. I've dated outside of my race, and I mean, people are people. I mean, I wouldn't want, like, say I meet this ideal partner and he's a different color than me. I wouldn't want to disqualify him, you know, on a 98%. You know what I mean? Like, and that's that a lot of that I think has to like is shame. People are ashamed to say that kind of stuff. And because of what other people may think, but my God, like, you know, it's a preference, and people have different preferences. You know, he's laughing at me because somebody I know is going to see this and they're going to say something about it. You know, somebody's going to have a negative opinion about this, but like, why should I carry the shame of someone else having a different preference than me? I don't have to be ashamed for other people's behaviors and beliefs.
You know how it is down there in the country.
I know exactly how it is.
When you got all the inheritance and you come down there,
I probably just got cut out of the will, but it's cool.
You can't get that big old ranch and all the pigs and
look. The that went away a long time ago, so I don't even care anymore.
You know that they've been promised you can have. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh gosh, now we are in trouble. I had a feeling you were gonna bring that up too.
Man, I can't tell, man. That's some crazy stuff going on when your grandparents die and all of her kids are fighting over the property and stuff, man.
Yeah, I can't fight them. I'm sitting in my apartment. Oh gosh.
Well, I mean, me as a man, I can kind of understand this kind of question because you know, for men like myself, and when you work hard, you work on your body, you work on your finances, you work on your mentality, your confidence, all of these things. Uh, you tend to have to raise your standards because you want the woman that is going to come into your life to appreciate the hard work you done. So it's not like a shot at women. It's more like filtering out women who don't understand how hard it is to grind and where you've gone and appreciate the things that you have to offer her. So we have to set these qualifiers. We have to. Uh, so yeah. So let's go to the next question because I was going to take us on a little journey elsewhere.
Where were we going?
So we got a couple more. Do you ever want to get married or married again?
I've never been married. For the record, I've never been married. Um, like I said, it's a bonus at this point. I don't have an expectation or a goal that like, oh, my goal is to like find a husband or like I expect to have a husband. I live my life the way it is. No one else is in it. And I try to make that the best it can be. It's a bonus, if that ideal man shows up and we jive and we both want to do it, I'm not opposed to marriage.
I'm gonna be honest with you, ma'am. If you keep looking at men as a bonus, you're gonna be alone.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. I believe in like I want something meaningful. I want it to matter. I'm still doing a lot of work on myself, and the kind of guy I want to be with, I still have more work to do before I go out there and find him.
So how long do you plan to work?
I don't know, probably another 6 months. I mean, I'm taking a year off from everything, so probably another 6 months to a year alone. I kind of expect that. I want to go on casual dates. I want to get to know people. I don't want it to be like, oh, hey, we're together kind of thing. Like, I just want to take my time. I want to do it right.
Do you expect to work when you do meet, if you do meet this ideal man, you expect to work and pay significant bills?
I plan to work, and I plan to be 50-50 and that kind of stuff. If me and a man buy a house and I'm working, like I should be helping pay for the house. Unless we have that situation like we talked about earlier, you know what I mean? Like, here's my life. I want you to enter it as you are. And that's a different situation. I like to work. I like making money. I'm married. That's what I do right now because I'm building myself up financially. I'm becoming that person that you talked about as a man. When you start to build yourself and grind, like that's where I'm at. I identified in that. Women do it too.
All right. But do you think that men value your body of work as far as where you build yourself? You say you're building yourself up as far as career, financially and all those things. Do you think your ideal man value that?
1,000%. 1,000%. He'd be my biggest cheerleader. He'd be the biggest one saying like she's a go-getter.
Okay.
And he'd like that. My ideal man would like that about me. And he would be able to advise me well in that area too.
So
You
you
know, if I'm in an area and it's all about who you bring in with you, if I'm doing something, I want a partner that's going to be able to advise me well on what I'm doing.
you know what? And I gotta say that's similar to the dynamics I had in my relationship before my wife stopped working. We both did the military, and I came up with a plan, and I made sure that by the time we have kids, she won't never have to work again. You know what I'm saying? And she was okay with that. I said,
That's
work,
respectable.
work for me. You handle, my finances, handle our finances. Handle the kids, handle the household, handle clerical duties and stuff like that. So it worked out for us. And she still got to do whatever. And if she told me, hey, look, I want to go do this, or I want to go sell merch or women's clothing or something like that, or whatever she want to do, I'm all for it. But I'm gonna let her know, hey, look, you still got to keep that body right. A lot of women's excuse for not keeping their body right is, oh, I got to work a 9 to 5. I don't have time to get in the gym. Nah, you got all the time you need with me.
Walk to work. Walk to work. I started walking. I put on weight when I got sober. Gotta get out there and exercise. It's just you have to. You feel better too, and then you're more pleasant to be around.
Well,
That's cool.
the benefit you got from meeting a partner, you don't have your kid in the house. So it's no reason why you should be single unless you just.
I want to be right now.
I honestly, I'm just giving you my honest opinion. I think your standards are a little bit too high.
You don't know what my standards are, though. You never asked me what they are.
Okay, what are your standards?
I don't have any right now because I'm not looking for anyone. Like I'm not actively looking for anyone. I have standards for myself at this point in my life.
So you're saying you have to look for a man. You have to be actively looking for a man to be able to meet a partner.
No, I have to be I have to be in a place where I'm ready to be in a relationship.
So right now you're not in a place where you're ready to be in a relationship.
No, I don't have space for it. I work full time. I go to school full time. I don't have that energy to give to another person at this point in my life. I'm giving it to myself because I'm still on that grind that you talked about.
What if you meet a man and he said, "Hey, look, I'm going to make time for you to give me the energy. Cut out that job. I got the bank account, got the bankroll. I'm gonna take care of everything." What do you do then?
I can't do that because I talked earlier about how I grew to resent those men because I felt like someone owned me. Just like you talked about a man coming in with a plan, I have a plan. I have a plan too.
And that right there is your standard. Your standard is you have a system, you have a plan,
right?
And a man is going to have to fit in your system.
We should fit into each other's. It should be mutual. It should be mutual. You don't believe in like a mutual, working system?
Well, I believe in that, but you just stated that you don't have the time, you don't have the space. But if a man is willing to be mutual and create space for you, you can't do it.
I probably can at this point. I probably can't. I'm going to be I'm not going to do the ego thing because my ego wants to be like, I can get a man. And you know what, Darwin? I'm not willing to make that space. Like I am enjoying myself the way that I am and where I'm at and what I'm doing. And I feel like bringing someone else in the place that I'm at would take a lot of work on my part, to invest in somebody in that way. I don't want to give somebody half of what I want to bring to the table. I don't want to show up to the picnic with a Lunchable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You want to do your part.
Yeah, I want to build. I want to grind.
Well, I think whenever you talk to this guy and just have whatever guy you ever talk to, once you have the conversation, he lays everything out on the table. Like, hey, look, this is what I have going for me. That's what you got going for you. And he say, hey, look, I figured out a way we could fit, but it's going to take you doing less of what you're doing. And it might be your passion. And that kind of sucks. But if you want to get married again, and you got to make sacrifices.
I was never married. Don't stop saying married again. I was never married.
I'm sorry.
I've never been married. And I agree that like some things take sacrifice, right? I'm just not in a place in my life where I'm willing to sacrifice anything that I'm doing. I'm just not.
And you say you're not at a place in your life as if that's a place where you can approach or you can end up at.
What'd you say?
You say that as if later on in life you're going to reach a place where you can sacrifice.
That's my hope. That's my hope. That's why I'm working hard to be able to do that. It's not that I don't ever think about the future. That's my hope is to be able to do that. Right now, it's not happening.
I spoke to some women and they feel like women are on like a time clock. Do you feel like you're on a time clock?
No. I had a mentor tell me because I was weird about going back to college because I'm finishing up my bachelor's and I want to get my master's and maybe pursue a doctorate. And I always felt like it was too late. I felt like, time had run out for that. And she looked at me one day and she said, Elizabeth, you're going to be 50 either way. Would you rather be 50-year-old with a PhD or would you rather be a 50-year-old with nothing? And that clicked for me. So, like, if I'm willing to study,
Can I add a third one?
if you're willing to have a man in your life, you're going to be 50 either way. I
Would you
know what you're going to
rather
say.
50 with nothing, 50 with a PhD, or 50 with a husband?
Why can't I have both?
Well, you just said it. You have to reach all these milestones before you
Right.
sacrifice space.
I didn't say I had to reach all of them. I didn't say which milestones I needed to reach. You're assuming that. You're assuming that. I didn't say which milestones I need to reach. I said I'm going to be alone for the next 6 months to a year is what I told you earlier.
Okay.
So, I'm not saying that I have to get a PhD before I'm able to sacrifice to make space for a relationship in my life. You know, I've been strengthening my relationship with God lately, to be honest with you. I'm 33 years old and I just started believing in God. So, me and God have been making up for lost time, if I'm going to be totally honest. I've been exploring, my spirituality and what my relationship with God looks like. And I think, putting that first in my life right now and working on my spiritual intelligence along with my emotional intelligence is going to make me a better partner in the future.
So when somebody, and I know I'm throwing extra questions in there, but I'm just
Go
trying to
for it.
land the plane. When you hear the word submit, what does that sound like to you?
I saw you ask this the other day. You said, what does a woman have to do, or what does a man have to do in a relationship to make a woman submit to him? And my answer to that question was he has to submit to God. So what a woman doesn't want is to feel like she's submitting to a man to feed his ego. I'm not going to, I don't want to be supplying someone's ego. I want to be doing things out of a service of my heart, I want it to be
Man,
heartfelt.
dude.
Huh?
Furious Man said to invest in dog food and cat food, you're gonna be a billionaire.
Who is?
The reason why I brought up submission is because
Uh,
you mentioned that you're working on your spiritual connection with God.
right.
And what does God say that women should submit to?
Women should submit to God.
I think we need to revisit.
God also says, do not put any idols before me. And if we're putting men on this pedestal, where does God fit into that equation?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
there's a scripture that specifically say women submit to your husband.
Okay, that's fair. But here's the thing, Darwin, I don't study that.
Okay.
I don't study. I mean, there are Jewish people. I mean, there are a lot of different religions.
Okay, yeah.
I never specified what you see, what assumptions do. I never
Yeah,
specified
okay.
that.
Well,
That's Christianity. You're speaking to Christianity.
okay. So
I can't speak to Christianity.
you don't study the Bible, the Holy Bible?
I think there's a lot of great scripture in the Bible, and I apply parts of it to my life. I have a book right here called Jesus Calling, and it's like daily devotionals. I think the Bible is a great source, for spiritual scripture and to find things to help mold your life. But as far as like professing a religion, I'm not religious.
Okay.
I take it, I do it cafeteria style. I take what I need and I leave the rest, Does that mean that I don't know who God is? No. There are many paths to God, but at the end of the day, there's one God and we all serve him.
I'm a religious man. I
could tell.
You can tell? How can you tell?
Well, because you brought up, your idea of women submitting to men came from the Bible. And
Well,
people who aren't religious don't do that.
you mentioned spirituality, and that's the reason.
Right. And that's your chosen spiritual path is Christianity.
Well, I wouldn't call myself a Christian.
Okay.
I believe in God, I believe, Jesus. I believe a lot of stuff in the Bible, but I don't call myself a Christian, I've
Okay.
read a scripture, where Jesus didn't call himself a Christian. I think it was the Pharisees who called the followers of Christ, Christians. That's where they got the term from. Those Jesus and his disciples never called themselves Christians. So, I mean, that's not real. I wouldn't say that's solely the reason why I don't call myself a Christian. It's just that unless I'm actually me personally, unless I'm actually devoted and in the church, every week, and I'm studying the word and I'm living the word purely, you know, then I will call myself a Christian. If I'm not doing that, I'm not gonna call myself a Christian.
That's fair. Sitting in a church makes you a Christian just like sitting in a car makes you a garage. You know what I mean? That's what I always heard.
All right, so we can wrap it up. You got any questions for me?
I don't. I don't have any questions for you. Thanks for having me on. It was cool. I feel like we touched on a lot of, hot topics on here. I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble for the penis comment, but that's okay.
No. We live in a world where you could say whatever. Actually, that's starting to go out the window.
Right. Well, cancel culture is a form of censorship.
I don't think you. I don't think you. I think if you're ever approached about it, or if somebody asks you about it, just give them context.
I'll try to. I'll do my best.
Wait, what was that you said about the penis content?
Because
No,
I don't want to repeat it. I don't want to repeat it.
Have to say it again. Don't say it again.
You almost got me.
All right. So if there's no more questions for me, did you enjoy the show?
I did. I had a blast.
No. So I'll be probing, don't I?
You do. You went to like some really personal places with me, and I was like, ooh. And I wanted to be like, honest and authentic because that's what makes the conversation flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you hit some really like personal numbers for me, and I was like, I wasn't really expecting this because I just looked at his surface when you sent me the questions, and I was like, that's cool. I know a little bit about this, and then I was like, I identify with this.
I just try to lean off of your momentum. If I see you go a layer deeper and give me more information,
Yeah.
I'm gonna play checkers. I'm gonna hop over that and try to see if I can get up underneath that. But I'm only gonna go a layer, the next layer deeper. I'm not gonna try to dive into your business.
Yeah. No, you did good. I mean, it got personal for me just because like I related to the content, but I feel like most people can. But I feel like people speaking openly and being vulnerable in those conversations, like people need to be.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So if you have any friends, let them know to subscribe, and if they want to come on the show and interview, they can message me. So
Yeah, I got some people I might link you up with actually.
yeah, go ahead and hook a brother up.
I'm always supportive, so it's nice to see you out here doing this, and thanks.
All right, Liz, I appreciate you pulling up. Where can people find you at? Social media, YouTube, whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just kind of on Facebook right now. I took a social media hiatus during my little self-discovery thing. So I'm on Snapchat. It's at ELIZZSTEWAA. And I'm on Facebook, Liz Stewart. I'm a writer on Facebook, so I'm listed as a writer. So follow my writer page on Facebook. I'm always posting stuff and sharing my journey. And I'm being very candid in that sense as well. So you can watch me over these next 6 months to a year and see what happens. See if I find the man of my dreams.
Okay. All right, Liz. We sure appreciate you pulling up. We'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good night.
All right. That was Liz, y'all, and that was episode 7 in the books. We've been doing good. I appreciate everybody who stuck, all the way. Appreciate fishing the fit for the questions. Everybody for the comments, pulling up. I know this was later than usual, but you know what? Sometimes I gotta bend the schedule for the guests. We got episode 8 coming up. Supposed to be tomorrow. We might have to reschedule. But yeah, let me know if y'all have any female friends who want to just come have a conversation and lay everything out on the table, even if they just want to vent or they just want to try to get a different perspective without being crucified or, crushed for their opinions, or their beliefs. I try to keep everything safe for work as much as I can. Sometimes it get out of hand. If y'all saw last episode, that show got out of hand. But I appreciate everybody pulling up. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. And I will see y'all on the next episode. Wait a minute. I know dating and marriage ain't just come on and comment right at the end. My bad, y'all. But dating the Lady Di, is that Lady Di? If that's Lady Di, you wrong. You know you wrong, girl. You know you wrong. But anyways, I'll see y'all. Gotta go now. Ah ha 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 ha.